It's the final week of the regular season. Teams trying to secure those final playoff spots. The AFC title game on Sunday night. Pro Bowl list just came out. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Jags sideline touchdown. Unbelievable. Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
Good evening. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88, Dean Radio, and Secret Weapon Consulting. I'm Chris Costich here with CJ Medeiros, has reported eligible, and special guest, host of the Polluted Thoughts Podcast, a very good friend of mine all the way throughout high school, played sports with him, still great friends to this day, was just on his podcast last Friday, host of the Polluted Thoughts Podcast, Colin Garrity. Colin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's a pleasure. Who does that theme song? Your intro was bumping. That was hot. It was getting me. I wish you guys could, if you have a recording of that, I'd like to see it. I was jamming out to the theme song earlier.
That's Robert, right?
Yeah, that's Robert.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody made that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's good.
Host
of
the Pesky Pull podcast, Robert Shelley.
Yep.
Damn. Shout out him. That was dope. I like the music.
We'll let him know. But Colin, for those who don't know a lot about Polluted Thoughts, or for those just joining and learning who you are, just kind of give your PTP a little plug in.
Yeah. So I run Polluted Thoughts Podcast, PTP. It's a very conversational podcast. It's all about just bringing to light what people do and why they're doing it and who they are. I remember sitting around in COVID in my room being like, God damn it, me and my boys don't get the light that we deserve. No one can see who like the real people in us are. And then I came to the realization, I was like, that's everybody, you know? If you don't sit down and have a full-fledged interview with somebody and see it on the internet, you have no clue who that person is, or have like a sit down with them face-to-face. You have no idea. You just see the internet, you know? So I was like, let's bring to light who these people are, and especially local people. There's a lot of people in, like, especially where we live, Costich, music and artistry in general. There's a lot going on. So I always just wanted to bring that to light. So that's, you know, come check it out. It's on all platforms. And we just did one with Costich. It was fantastic. We talked about his broadcasting journey. I was always interested. We never really like sat down and talked one-on-one about it. So it was interesting. Learn some stuff about other people and about yourself, and hopefully learn how to live life a little bit better.
Hell yeah. And that episode just came out yesterday, so be sure to check that out on the same streaming platforms that we're on, which is just pulling it up right now: Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, YouTube, and so much more. So we'll get right into it. The Saturday primetime games. First, we got Steelers versus Ravens. Ravens already said that they're going to be benching Lamar, so Tyler Huntley will be the starting quarterback. They have Steelers as the favorite by 3 in Baltimore, 4:30 on ESPN. Is CJ, have you heard about if Kenny Pickett is starting or not?
Not recently. I can check. I've heard that he's questionable, and you know Pittsburgh is trying to make a playoff push, so you know that he's probably going to be someone they want, for better or worse.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph looks pretty good in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or wait, did he play last week? Now I'm blanking.
I believe he did, yes. And furthermore, I truly believe that they should stay with Mason Rudolph, and I believe that they will. And there are some rumors that he is refusing to be the backup, although Pickett himself has come out and said that they're not true. But, of course, he would deny it, so I don't know.
Wasn't he just the third string?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So they're saying
Mason Rudolph was just the third string, but because Trubisky sucks, he took over in that spot. But
oh, by the way, CBS Sports reports, quote, Steelers Mason Rudolph remains starting quarterback over healthy Kenny Pickett for critical Week 18 matchup versus Ravens.
Stick with the hot hand.
They said that they've yet to decide, but all signs are pointing to Rudolph.
And I think that's a good choice. I mean, like you said, stick with the hot hand, stick with that's good. And for the Steelers, they clinch a playoff berth with a win or a Buffalo loss, or a win with a Jacksonville loss or tie, or a Houston and Indianapolis tie, or Jacksonville loss and Houston Indianapolis doesn't end in a tie, or a Jacksonville loss, a Denver win, and Houston and Indianapolis doesn't end in a tie.
It's a mouthful.
A lot going on there. A lot going on there.
This is why you win early, so you can control your own destiny instead of having to rely on some New Year's miracles. But that's just me.
Which is kind of what I was saying on Tuesday about the Eagles. Now they kind of have to rely on Washington to beat Dallas, which doesn't seem very likely. But we'll get into that later on.
That's risky business once you start relying on the other teams to get the losses, and the ties is ridiculous.
It is.
The fact that even comes.
If you are relying on a team to get a tie, then just bury your season already.
Which is kind of what happened a couple of years ago with the Raiders Chargers. Steelers needed someone to win, and
it's the equivalent of being like locked out of the crib. You know what I'm saying? You're like praying to God somebody just is awake to come to the door.
Yeah,
something like that.
That's a pretty good analogy. But picks though, this is tough. Is there anyone else out for the Ravens that they're sitting? Which
I know they just got Dalvin Cook. I don't imagine he's playing. But as far as I go,
that man can't learn how to read a playbook to save his life.
Yeah. Well, I believe the politically correct term is the Jets effect, but whatever.
So
that's actually more accurate.
Okay, looking at the injury report right now, so Lamar's out. They're sitting OBJ. Zay Flowers is doubtful. Malik Harrison is out. Marlon Humphrey is ruled out. Daryl Worley is ruled out. Kevin Zeitler ruled out. So it looks like they are going to be sitting quite a few players for this game, which you would assume that the Steelers would then pick up the victory. But Tyler Huntley's still a good quarterback, in my opinion. So it's not to say that you can't rule the Ravens out of this, but with the stakes being so high for the Steelers, I'd have to take the Steelers by 4.
That's the spread? 4?
No, the spread is by 3, but I
was going to ask what the spread is. I should hammer the Steelers. Like the practice squad in over there in Baltimore.
Basically.
I want to see Malik Cunningham.
Yeah.
Malik Cunningham.
On behalf of all Patriots fans, I too would like to see Malik Cunningham. However, I do want to say that I am also taking Pittsburgh. Reason being, Baltimore is playing their JV team basically, and even though like their defense is still really good, Pittsburgh is rolling with a hot-handed Mason Rudolph, to my knowledge. And, well, these division games are always a little wonky.
Usually is.
I'd agree. I'm going to go Steelers, but I'm going to say they get it done by probably like 13 or 14.
That's reasonable.
They're playing the Lunenburg Blue Knights JV team tomorrow. I don't know what to say.
Oh, man. All right. Main event for Saturday night, Texans, Colts. CJ Stroud fully back and ready to go for Houston. Houston's 3-4 on the road. Colts are 4-4 at home. It's in Indy. Have the line at Houston by 1.5. We've just pull up the playoff scenario here. So Houston clinches this. So this is also basically for the AFC South. So Houston clinches the AFC South with a win and a Jacksonville loss, and they clinch a playoff berth in general with a win, or with a tie, a Jacksonville loss, and a Pittsburgh loss or tie. For Indianapolis, they clinch the South with a win and a Jacksonville loss or tie, or just a tie and Jacksonville loss. And they clinch a playoff berth with a win or a tie and a Pittsburgh loss or tie.
All right.
So
that's something.
This is a game that's for the AFC South. Obviously, Jacksonville playing Tennessee on Sunday is also going to be for AFC South supremacy as well. But this is the game to watch if you're an AFC South fan of any team or of any of those three teams. I'm going to go Houston though. Houston by 3. I just like the Texans more. If you have CJ Stroud out in the field, that just gives your team's chances that much more of a chance to win, really.
CC, I love CJ Stroud, man. He is that guy. He's going to be the future of the NFL, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too soon to tell, but the way that he's been playing this season has been incredible. I think they're going to get it done. I think my boy T is going to cash out a futures bet on the AFC South because he put a little bit of money on CJ and them boys. So I think that they're going to get the dub, and I think they're going to clinch the AFC South.
I like it.
What do they need? CJ. They need a Jacksonville loss as well?
Yeah, Jacksonville loss. Yeah, Jacksonville loss or tie.
They need a win and a Jacksonville loss or tie. I think, and Jacksonville's playing who? Tennessee, you were saying?
Yep.
That Mayo boy might upset them. Might ruin the season.
Get to that in a sec, but CJ, your thoughts?
Give me Houston. No questions asked. I know Indy's got a good defense, but it's over. If I'm Indy, I'm already looking at next season. You know, you have like a good first year with Steichen, you build on it, but Houston, I mean, even without guys like Tank Dell, CJ Stroud is just that guy. I'm sorry. CJ Stroud, I mean, I thought, and I'm on record saying that I think he was the best quarterback in the draft when he was drafted. But this year, oh my God, I believe in this man. And if there's any guy who you want to count on, rookie or otherwise, to get the job done against a division rival this week, give me CJ Stroud.
Easily.
I also am throwing a prediction out there that Devin Singletary is going to have at least 120 all-purpose yards, maybe 120 rushing yards, because he gets a fat bonus if he runs for like 160 yards this game or something like that. It was like $125 or $250,000.
That's the other thing I didn't even think about was that this week is a big incentives week. So we'll probably
I was reading into that prior to the pod.
Yeah. So we'll probably see a lot more. So we'll probably see players play till they get to that incentive or play like they play a half of football or 3/4 of football, then get sat out.
Yeah. Some of them are far-fetched though. Like Tyreek looking for the single season title. Like that's a little, we'll get to it.
He needs like 200 something yards for that or something like that. But
228, I think it was 228.
Yeah. So we're all on Houston for that. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get through the Sunday 1 p.m. games. You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. It's caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable!
You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88, Dean Radio, and Secret Weapon Consulting. Chris Costich, CJ Medeiros, Colin Garrity, our special guest from the Polluted Thoughts Podcast.
It's a tongue twister.
Yeah, usually isn't, but for some reason it just was. So get to the 1 o'clock games. Our first game on the list, Patriots-Jets. They had the Pats by 2. And if you're a New England fan, you really, really want to lose this game, even if it's against the Jets, because of your draft pick. Take the loss, then you're automatically at the 2 spot. But with the Jets having the worst offense in the league, it's kind of hard to say that the Pats won't win this game. So
what about our integrity, Costich?
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
As New Englanders.
Integrity, this is the NFL. You've got guys like David Tepper running around throwing drinks on fans. You got Tyreek Hill running around breaking his kid's arm, especially now that he's trying to break another kid's arm since someone lit his house on fire.
Yeah, a little kid
you look at this league of corrupt owners, abusive players, and questionable coaches. There is no integrity here.
Is there cussing allowed on this podcast?
Adam will yell at us.
Keep it to a minimum.
Never mind. Then I'd like to stick a big virtual middle finger out to Mario and the New York Jets, because we're not losing this football game. Take all my money -2 for the Patriots. Bill Belichick is not going out on an L. We're not sacrificing our dignity and our pride. We are winning this football game. It's only $50 to go to Gillette. I might even just go.
Cooper was texting us earlier if we trying to see if we wanted to go. Actually, Colin,
we should. It might be Bill's last game.
I gotta work late on Saturday, but who cares?
Might be Bill's last game, and I mean he's not going out on an L.
No,
and he's riding high on like a 40-3 W against the Jets, like old times.
I like it. You know what? I like it. That's the other thing. Sorry, CJ.
No. You want to go, or should I get my prediction?
No, you can go.
This pains me. But I think we should lose. Do you know why? Because I believe Marvin Harrison Jr. will be a great receiver. That is who I want. But, oh, God. I don't want to lose to the Jets. And frankly, I don't think Bill Belichick wants to either. There have been some really major reports about the dysfunction in the locker room. There's a lot of people saying that he will not be brought back. And here's another thing, too. I know Bill doesn't want to go out on a loss. Another thing is, this could potentially be greatest special teamer of all time, Matt Slater's final game in New England. I know he doesn't want to. I think they should lose, but they will not. Give me New England, probably. Well, even though you've got Zappy Hour there running the offense, which gives me like no confidence whatsoever, I would say probably like they're going to win by like 10.
I'm emptying out the pockets. Give me the Patriots by like 25. They're going to kill them this weekend. They're going to kill them. Matthew Slater's going to force a fumble on a punt. It's going to be madness in Foxborough. Telling you.
If I see Matt Slater blocking a punt on Sunday, oh my Lord.
I might
What's
cry.
the discrepancy in pick if we win this game versus if we lost?
All right. I know. So basically, if we lose, we are guaranteed the second overall pick. If we win, we could get it, but the Commanders would also have to win. You know what I mean? Because right now we're at 3, I believe.
That might not be the worst thing for us, though, because they have a good receiving core.
That's true, but keep this in mind. If we win, then we could very well fall down to number 5, and that means Williams is gone. That means Harrison's gone. That will basically give an excuse for our organization to say, "Oh boy, let's go O-line," which, to be fair, we need because Trent Brown, is he's just checked out. So, I mean, I don't know, but I would much rather Marvin Harrison.
Screw Trent Brown. I hate that dude so much. Get him out of here.
Gave up.
Literally checked out. He is like unironically giving up.
He checked out 10 weeks ago. I'm done with him.
Well, we got to go, I think.
Yeah. With all that said in mind, the Jets also have not beaten the Patriots since, I want to say,
2015.
2015.
Yeah.
15.
No, 2015, because they had that overtime win with the Ryan Fitzpatrick Linsanity run back in 2015.
Oh,
Yeah, New England came in 2016 and just started walloping them since.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that Bill's going to continue the streak. Like you said, it's Bill's last game. It's hard to say that he's not gonna
Perhaps. We don't know.
Perhaps his last game as a Patriot. And what a better way to send him off with a beatdown of the New York Football Jets. Next game, Browns, Bengals on CBS. Jets, Patriots is on Fox. Browns, Bengals is on CBS. This one's not going to be as much of a barn burner as you'd want it to be. Bengals are already eliminated. Browns have already locked up their playoff spot in the 5 seed. So Flacco's not playing. Other players aren't playing. So they have Cincy at 7 right now. That being said, I'm probably going to go Cincy just because it's a throwaway game, but Cincy by 4. Colin, what do you think?
Colin, you can go.
I'm going to say the Browns still get it done. I think it's probably a field goal at the end of the game type of game. But I think that they still pull it out. Who's their backup? It's what's his name?
Dorian
Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah. I think that he might be able to pull it out versus Browning. And I mean, is Jamar even going to play? Because they don't have playoff implications anymore, right?
I mean, I assume Jamar will still play.
Yeah.
And he's still taking the Browns like a separated shoulder or something like that.
Yeah, AC joint or something like that.
Double checking the injury.
I'm not a doctor, but I know he's a wee bit on the banged up side, let me tell you.
Yeah. So
I mean,
Joe
throw him
Mixon,
out there as a distraction.
Yeah.
That's what Bill Belichick used to do.
Jamar is currently not on the injury report. Joe Mixon is listed as questionable. He did not practice Thursday. T. Higgins didn't practice today. Chidobe Awuzie is questionable. Jalen Davis is questionable. But I'd assume that T. Higgins and Joe Mixon will probably play. And in the case of Jamar Chase, he's 4 catches away from 100 catches. So I'd assume they're going to get him to that 100-catch mark at the very least, if he will play.
There.
Yeah. You'd imagine that there is going to be an incentive with that. So I would assume Jamar Chase would play. So yeah, Bengals by, I'm going to go Bengals by, we'll spread 7. So Bengals by 3. I'm going to go with what Colin was saying. Maybe it comes down to a last minute field goal. But on the other side, since you were saying that it'll come down to the Browns winning on a last second field goal. So I'm going to say Bengals on a last second field goal. CJ, your pick.
Now, Jake Browning has not been playing well. However, I do believe that he's now playing for a job. You know, maybe it's a backup job somewhere else or whatever, wherever he comes back. Dorian Thompson-Robinson isn't the greatest, but give me the Bengals by probably also a last-second field goal for the sole reason that you're not, the division's not in play for you, basically, if you are Cleveland. And your team is already injured, to hell and back. So let's be real. There's no reason for you to risk Joe Flacco, your new Lord and Savior, the real Joe Cool now, for this year at least, getting hurt. So I would say the Bengals by default. Yeah.
And Jake Browning has done a job since he's taken over. He kept the Bengals within a playoff spot or within reaching distance of a playoff spot. And it just came down to one more, if they had one more week to get the job done, but apparently they don't anymore. So it's sad enough for him. But as CJ mentioned, this is going to be a big big go get yourself a bag type of game for Jake Browning.
Yeah.
There's also a head to the store and get whatever you need for the other games type of game.
Yeah. Next game, Vikings-Lions. So we'll look at the list real quick. Playoff scenarios. Minnesota Vikings clinches a playoff berth with a win, Green Bay loss, Seattle loss, and a Tampa Bay loss, or all those minus the Tampa Bay loss and a New Orleans loss. And Lions are locked up in their spot. Forgot if was there any word on players sitting? I'm gonna check right now.
And while Chris is checking, I just want to say there are some fantasy leagues. I mean, not all of them, but some that go all the way to the end with week 18. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yep.
There are some leagues that my friends are in, and I'm like, for all fantasy managers out there, if you hear this and you have your league going to week 18, shame on you. You're terrible, and you need a lobotomy. Because players are going to sit out, and that's just going to be the ultimate form of chicanery there. And believe you me, as someone who may or may not be in one, I don't much appreciate it. That is all.
I think it's essentially like smoking tea. You know what I mean? It does nothing. It makes no sense. It's fugazi having a week 18. I remember it accidentally happened one time while I was commissioner, and I couldn't fix it because it was too late.
Wait, it's what now? Can you repeat that?
It's like smoking tea. It does nothing.
No, you said fugazi. No.
Oh, fugazi. It's nothing. It's a what?
Yeah, okay, I get it.
Come on.
I'm Tommy DeVito, and I approve this message.
Yeah.
Back to the game. CJ Gardner-Johnson is on IR, so that's a bit of a loss for the Lions there.
He's been on IR for these many weeks, my guy.
Yeah, I know. So that's really the only thing that's hindering Detroit. Detroit has the spread by 3.5. Vikings are playing for their playoff lives. Nick Mullins is getting the start this week. I think that the Lions will get it done similar fashion to how it got done in their last meeting. I don't think Mullins is going to throw 4 interceptions again, but I assume it's going to be close again. Say Detroit by 3.
I think Detroit's going to get it done, but what are the implications of them winning? How high do they go in the standings?
Nothing.
I think they're locked. They're locked where they are.
Yeah, they're locked.
Which is what, the 2 spot or the 3 spot?
The 3 spot.
3 spot. Okay.
Yeah, this is like one of those games where you're not really playing to win. Sorry, I don't want to jump in on you, but it's like you're just playing not to get injured.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're not sitting anybody either? They're not sitting Goff?
Well, actually, if Dallas loses and Detroit wins, then actually it wouldn't matter because Philly would jump Dallas. If Dallas loses and Philly wins, then Philly would just get into that 2 spot over Dallas and Detroit. Philly and Detroit didn't play earlier this year, right? Why am I blanking on that?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, no, they didn't play earlier this year. I don't know why.
Anyway, should I get my prediction now?
Yeah, CJ, give your prediction, please.
I think if Detroit, if they are smart, they're going to sit people, and I imagine they will. So if they do, just give me the Vikings, probably in like a low-scoring game, because Nick Mullins, he's interception prone, but this man can just chuck the ball all over the field without a care in the world. Like I said, like he's playing in the backyard. So, you got guys like Justin Jefferson and stuff that still, want to be out there and whatnot. So let's be honest. I feel like the Lions, like I said, this is like a live to fight another day type of game. So give me Detroit, probably by like 3. I mean, not Detroit, Minnesota. Sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
think Minnesota gets it done, but I don't think the other teams lose for them to be able to get into the playoffs.
No, probably not. Especially not with Mullins or the Pastronaut there.
Yeah. On to the next game. Jaguars Titans. So the Jaguars, as we mentioned, clinched the AFC South with a win or a tie, and a tie in the Indy and Houston game, or they just clinch a playoff berth with a tie and a Pittsburgh loss, or a Pittsburgh loss, a Denver loss or tie, and Houston and Indy doesn't end in a tie.
Huh.
So they could lose and still have a playoff spot. They just need, or they could tie, excuse me, and have Pittsburgh, or no, they could lose and have Pittsburgh and Denver lose. So it's all entirely possible. And Denver's playing Vegas, so that could be a toss-up of a game right there. But I'm gonna go Jaguars. Spread's at 3.5. Give me Jaguars by 7. They got a good pick-me-up game against Carolina last week. I think they continue to ride that momentum into this week.
I'm riding that train as well. I think I'm going to go Jaguars. I think they get it done by probably like 10, though. 10 or 9.
I'm fully expecting the Jaguars to win. However, once again, division game, and the Titans, they're not playing for anything. They're looking to play spoiler.
Derrick Henry's last game.
Yep, Derrick Henry's. Wait, what?
Potentially final game for Tennessee.
Oh, for Tennessee. I thought you meant like in total.
No,
and if that's the case, then I honestly expect Derrick Henry to just run all over the place. So I still think it's going to be Jacksonville, but like it's going to be a classic game where it's going to raise for your team a lot more questions than answers. So that being said, give me obviously Jacksonville, but by like 2 or 3.
Yeah, Jacksonville's just been a big mess in the last few weeks. The defense just completely fell apart. Trevor Lawrence still probably hindering his ankle from that high ankle sprain he suffered a couple weeks ago. So
they started 8-3, right?
Something like that. 8-3, something like that.
I believe they were, yeah.
Yeah, they started 8-3, and then since then they are 3-4.
They're on Skid Row.
Yeah. So they need a win badly to get some sort of momentum going. It's a wild card weekend. Next game on the 1:00 slate, the Saints and the Falcons. Oh, my Lord. So Falcons clinched the AFC South with a win and a Tampa Bay loss. The Saints clinched the NFC South with a win and Tampa Bay loss, or a tie and a Tampa Bay loss. Or they clinch a playoff berth with just a win, Seattle loss or tie, and a Green Bay loss or tie. Or New Orleans ties and Seattle loses and Green Bay loses. We're not here for ties, though. Interesting stat. Atlanta's 2-6 on the road. New Orleans is 4-3 at home. It's at New Orleans. I'm going to go Saints, assuming that Art Smith, for some reason, doesn't use Bijan or Drake London in this game as much as he should. And I think that that'll be his downfall and somehow get him fired. But CJ was just saying that apparently his job is locked in for some reason. So,
yeah, it's very, very unlikely he gets fired, I heard, but we'll save that for later.
Yeah. So I'll take Atlanta, or not Atlanta. I'll take New Orleans on this one by 4.
I'm not a businessman. I don't care about ties. I don't care about either team, truthfully, but give me the Saints probably by 4 to 7 points, I'm going to say. And Alvin Kamara has a great all-purpose game.
I literally do not care. The NFC South is the epitome of brain rot. But that being said, give me the Saints. I don't trust Arthur Smith to use his players consistently because Arthur Smith. He will be fired next offseason or probably sometime next season. So, yeah, there's that. It's the Saints. Probably by like 10.
Moving on to the other NFC South game, Buccaneers, Panthers. Here's a surprising fact. Both of the Panthers' wins this year have been at home. Panthers are at home, but it's the Panthers we're talking about here. I'm going to go Tampa. Give me Baker Mayfield having a 252 touchdown game. So yeah, Buccaneers spread is at 4.5. Give me Bucks by 10.
Is this game for the AFC South for the Bucks?
NFC South, but yeah, if they
Excuse me, that's what I
win,
meant.
yeah. So Tampa clinches the NFC South just straight up with a win. All they have to do is win, and they clinch. Or
Mike Evans is going for 120 and a touchdown, 6-7 receptions. Godwin's going for another 100 yards, probably another 5-6 receptions. Like you said, Baker's probably going 250, 300, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I expect
That's
Baker
easy.
Mayfield to show up, but
That kid was a poor use of picks. That Panthers quarterback, what the hell's his name?
Bryce
Young.
Yeah, that guy. Jeez.
Yeah,
Now
he's at a
good.
tough go. It's tough because you'd think that if he was in a better situation, then he would be doing a lot better. And like if CJ Stroud was with the Panthers, I think he'd be having a very similar season as Bryce Young. But if you were to put Bryce Young, but the other argument is if you put Bryce Young on the Texans, how good would he be playing at the same level as CJ Stroud?
No,
I do not.
no,
think so.
I do not believe so. And furthermore,
Exactly.
you're already going back to our games. You already know my stance on the NFC South. I'm going Tampa. I'm sorry. I know the Panthers want to play spoiler, but they are the Panthers.
Yeah.
It's Jover. They don't have an injured Joe Burrow, but it's Jover.
It's Jover. So yeah, everyone's got Tampa. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into the late afternoon Sunday games. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. It's caught! Jags! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins! Sammy Watkins for the touchdown!
This is the Fumblerooski podcast. Chris Costich, CJ Medeiros, special guest Colin Garrity. Move on to our 4 p.m. slot on the Sunday slate. First up, NFC North rivalry, the Bears and the Packers. In Green Bay, Wisconsin, Lambeau Field. Not going to be great weather, 28 degrees, potentially some snow in Green Bay. Green Bay's got the line at 3. And Chicago just barely getting eliminated from the playoffs. And that Chicago's just what a crazy story. They lock up the 1 seed and somehow they go on a run to potentially get themselves into a playoff spot. But, you know, as CJ mentioned earlier, he should have won more games earlier in the season. And now they're sitting at 7-9, just barely out of the playoffs, eliminated from playoff contention. But for the Packers clinch a playoff berth with a win, just a straight up win, or if they tie, they need a Seattle loss or tie, or a New Orleans loss or tie, or a Seattle loss and a Tampa Bay loss, or a Seattle tie and a Tampa Bay loss or tie, or if Green Bay loses, they need Minnesota to lose or tie, Seattle to lose, and Tampa Bay to lose, or they need, if they lose, here's the second scenario, Minnesota loses or ties, Seattle loses, and New Orleans loses. Oh, man. I'm starting to get out of breath from these freaking playoff scenarios. There's so many of them. But with this being a huge NFC North matchup, I say the Chicago Bears play spoiler to their hated men in green up north. I say they take down the Packers by 4. DJ Moore gets himself 8 catches. He needs 8 more to get 100, and I think he's going to get there. He just got snubbed for the Pro Bowl. I say DJ Moore has himself a game where he says, "Hey, should have thought about me more, buddy. I should be in the Pro Bowl. I should have been selected. Give me the Bears."
I know you can't see the front of my laptop, but there's a big old Bears helmet on it. I'm saying, go Bears. They're winning this game by a field goal at the end of the game, but I think Jordan Love is going to have good 260, maybe 300 yards because he's almost at his incentive. There was another incentive where he made $250,000 if he threw for a certain amount of yards, I think. And then if he actually, he's going to be grinding for the playoffs. He makes $500,000 if he makes the playoffs.
Oh, wow. Would that incentive be 4,000 yards passing total?
Could have been. I think he actually already. Yeah, actually, I think it was because he's at like 3,800. I think.
Yeah, he's at 3,843. So he would need quick math here 157. He would need 157 yards to break 4K.
I think it was something like that. He also has more yards this year than any Bears quarterback has ever had in a season ever.
Yep. It's embarrassing for the Bears.
Give me the Bears. 3 points.
CJ, what do you got?
I was gonna say Bears upset and play spoiler, but no. Now y'all are making my pick less special. However, I did not go to the Adam Wright school of trying to force different opinions. So yeah, no, I'm still going Chicago.
I like it.
Broncos.
Go Bears. The Bears. Broncos Raiders in Vegas. Broncos are already eliminated, so this is just a game to kind of screw around with everyone else in terms of playoff scenarios. The Broncos win, they screw up basically everyone else at the very least, depending on how all the other teams do. Russell Wilson not getting the start, of course, because of that whole contract situation. Jarrett Stidham did get a win 16-9 last week against the Chargers, but that's against the Chargers. We're talking about a Raiders team that has really stepped up defensively, and it's just a very different team with Antonio Pierce. Broncos, I think the Raiders are going to take this game at home. I'm going to go Raiders by 7.
I think that the Raiders blow them out. I'm riding with Antonio Pierce. I think that he's been nothing but the best for the Raiders in a deep cave of nothingness, of crap football. I think that he pulled them out of it, just for the moment at least. And I think they're going to get done by probably like 15, maybe 20.
Like it.
Once again, I'm sorry to say, once again, I thought I was going to be the only one picking the Raiders. But yeah, hey, I'm glad we're all on the same page. It's very nice. Yeah, I'm going with the Raiders because if you think about it, even though he's only the interim, Antonio Pierce is coaching for his job. The players respond to him and give him another year. I think he can really develop. And Raiders, you better keep him because you already had a very good interim head coach that you let walk to your own detriment. Are you dumb enough to do the same thing twice? Only time will tell.
Yeah, that's one thing that a lot of people have been bringing up is that the last time that they had a interim head coach was Bucciaglia, if I said his name right. But
isn't it like Bisaccia?
Either way, we're thinking about the same guy. He did a great job, brought his team to a playoff berth, and then didn't get hired as a head coach for some reason by Mark Davis. You would hope that Mark Davis would be smart enough to not make the same mistake twice, but this is the Las Vegas Raiders.
He is Mark Davis.
It's Mark Davis. The same person that hired Josh McDaniels, same team that drafted Jamarcus Russell with the first pick, same team that hired John Gruden for head coach, which ended up being a terrible decision. Same team that let Bucciaglia walk. So who knows?
Hypothetically, the Raiders should be stuck between a rock and a hard place with their coaching decision because if they lose Antonio Pierce, they should lose the locker room and the fan base as well.
But
we're also talking about Mark Davis. that guy has been going to Supercuts for like 45 years. Who knows what this guy's decisions were? He's a villain.
That's fair.
Next game, Eagles Giants. So it's DeVito's not starting this game, right? It's Tyrod Taylor the rest of the way. Pretty sure. But for the Eagles, so the Eagles, obviously they need to win to clinch the NFC East. So to clinch the NFC East, they just need Dallas to lose. That's basically it. Doesn't matter if Philly ties or wins. They need Dallas to lose. With that being said, Philly's going to win. I don't think it's going to be a crazy amount, but I'm going to go on the safe side, Philly by 7, upwards of 14. Spread's at 5.5.
I agree with you. I think Philly's going to take it probably the same amount, maybe 10-14. But like you were saying, or kind of like at least alluding to, I think that it's going to be not like too far of a game, but I think the Giants are going to be fighting uphill the entire time. And they need to bring the Cutlet back. Throw them out there. Get the fans going.
Well, yeah. No, I'm sorry. Give me Philly. They have way too many fraud allegations in order to, let this game pass them by. You know what? I know they're fraudulent. I know that things aren't looking good, but I wouldn't be shocked if they roll out there and just beat the snot out of the Giants just out of anger. And that's what they should do. If they cannot manage to do this, then I'm sorry. 5-alarm fire, you can no longer deny. Either way, give me Philly.
Yeah. Even with all... Sorry, Colin, what were you saying?
I was just saying, if they lose this game, then they're truly fraudulent.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Truly. And it really comes to... Because they're not moving from their spot. If they lose, if Dallas wins and Philly wins, they're not moving. And regardless of a win or a loss, they're not moving from the 5 spot. But if Dallas loses and Philly wins, then they get bumped up to that 2 spot. And even with all the turmoil, locker room chaos that's going on in Philly for their own right, I still think that they'll be able to at least overcome it for one more week going into the playoffs. But I think the way that they beat New York this week might be a sign of what's to come for the playoffs. Next game, Seahawks Cardinals. So the Cardinals have a chance to play spoiler to their NFC West rival. Seahawks clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Green Bay loss or tie. Or Seattle ties in these 2 scenarios. They need a Green Bay loss or a Tampa Bay loss or tie. Or they need a Green Bay loss or a New Orleans loss or tie. So if we see the same Cardinals team that we saw last week against Philly, Seattle has no chance. But it's the Cardinals. You can't trust Jonathan Gannon and that defense too much, I feel like. Or just that whole team in general. I'm gonna go Seahawks, but this might be one of those games where it's like decided by a point or 2. And they're going to crawl their way into the wild card weekend.
I agree. I think it's going to be a nail biter. I think that the Seahawks better be praying Kyler Murray doesn't pull up in like a Sean Kemp or like a Kraken jersey before the game, because that would be the end all be all for them in their season. But I think Seattle gets it done probably by a little bit more than a field goal at the end of the game, and I think they end up getting into the wild card.
Sean Kemp or Gary Payton's Supersonics jersey would be kind of clean.
Yeah, that'd be dangerous, because last week he pulled up in the Penguins in the Crosby jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know when it comes to this game. I really don't. This is just this is a game that I really believe could go either way. However, Seattle has a lot to play for. divisional matchup. The Cardinals are playing spoiler. Cardinals, as we know, just shocked Philly, and I think they're going to shock Seattle. Put me down for the Cardinals.
I like it. I like it. You know, and that's the thing. Like, we were just talking about how it's a toss-up. It feels like it should be a toss-up, especially the way Arizona played last week. So, that's next game, Chiefs-Chargers. Surprisingly, Chargers are the favorite here against the Chiefs. Spread is at 3.5. Just going to double-check injuries right now for the Chargers. For the Chiefs. Oh, yeah, that's right. Rashee Rice and Kadarius Toney both ruled out. L'Jarius Sneed ruled out. Donovan Smith ruled out. Travis Kelce, questionable. Isaiah Pacheco, questionable. Chris Jones, questionable. Jerick McKinnon on IR. Sky Moore still on IR. The Chiefs are battling the injury bug like no other right now. We've already seen Isaiah Pacheco miss a game or two in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
But I highly doubt he's going to miss this one. I highly doubt Travis Kelce's going to miss this one. But Travis Kelce's probably going to struggle still. Mahomes always finds a way to win, so my intuition wants to say Chiefs. But I just don't know. It's give me the Chiefs. Why not? Just screw it. It's hard.
Really?
It's really hard to bet against Mahomes. It really is.
It is. It's impossible. They're still probably a probable for the Super Bowl just having him.
Yeah.
That being said, what are they doing? Having open tryouts for receiver? Marky Mark about to pull up and play receiver for the Chiefs? They got no receivers. They don't have anybody to catch the football. If Travis Kelce doesn't play, then the rest of their team's on IR and out. Give me the baseball bat kid in Los Angeles, the hockey stick. Give me him by 7, 6. I think that they upset the Chiefs. They're not what they used to be.
Yeah, and in terms of playoff positioning, Kansas City isn't going to move at all. So they stay at the 3 spot, so it doesn't matter.
You're right. KC is not going to move. However, the Chargers, oh my God, they have Easton Stick. And the Chargers, as we all know, are battling the injury bug themselves. And to my knowledge, I do not believe that Keenan Allen's even going to play. So, once again, they have an injured Justin Herbert. They don't have an injured Joe Burrow, but it's still Jover for them. Give me Kansas City in probably a very ugly game by like 3.
Actually, now that I think of it, for some reason, I thought I saw somewhere that Mahomes wasn't even going to play.
All right. Well, if Mahomes doesn't play, then the Chargers will probably take it by like 1. It's going to be like 10-9.
Give me the hockey stick by 6. I think he gets it done.
If Mahomes doesn't play, that is. If Mahomes doesn't play, I'm
Mahomes is not playing.
Chargers.
Mahomes
okay, then it's the Chargers. Then the Chargers win, and it's gonna be the ugliest game. It's gonna go down in the halls of NFL history as just one of the games. Not even a good game, not a bad game, but just one of the games.
What, you can't trust 34-year-old Blaine Gabbert?
No more than I can trust.
You didn't tell me he was
on a certain island.
If this
you didn't tell me it was Blaine Gabbert.
If this
that
was,
might turn it around.
Who was the quarterback who came in for Mahomes when he got hurt?
Chad Henne.
If Chad Henne was playing, I'd have a much different opinion on it. But since it's Blaine Gabbert, I'm gonna have to go back to the Chargers on this one.
Chargers.
All right.
Chargers. Next game on the list is Rams-Niners. So this is one of those games where basically no one is playing. Puka Nacua might end up playing anyways for the offensive or the rookie receiving yard record. He's currently at 101 receptions and 1,445 receiving yards. I don't have it in front of me how many more yards he needs, but Niners basically have no one playing in this game. They don't have Purdy playing. CMC's sitting. Rams already clinched a spot, and they're not moving from their spot either. Yeah. Rams basically have the 6th spot locked up. 49ers have the first round bye. So this game really has no bearing on anything at all.
Yeah.
It's Sam Darnold versus, why am I blanking on the Rams quarterback right now?
John Wolford. Is that him? Is that the Rams fella? Or, is it Stetson Bennett?
No. Oh, no, I think it's Carson Wentz starting, actually.
I forgot he was a thing. Either
Yeah.
way, give me the Rams. I'll go first. Sorry. Give me the Rams. This is literally just a game of just both teams trying not to get injured for the playoffs, but give me the Rams just because the Niners are not going to play any of their starters for the sole reason of they don't want to get hurt. And the Rams just do have a tiny, tiny bit more to play for.
Yeah. They have more to play for in terms of momentum going into the wild card game.
Yeah, especially if Stafford's going to play his old team in the Lions.
Yeah, true. Got to definitely stay rested up for that. So yeah, Colin, your pick.
I'm gonna go Rams. Puka Nacua is gonna have like probably 70, 80 yards in the first half, and I bet he sits out the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think I was thinking the same thing. They'll probably get him to that rookie record and then set him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's gonna have a good first half. They'll set him the second half. Rams end up taking the dub because there may not be sitting as many people as the Niners are sitting, but they're still sitting everybody. So it's gonna be a snooze fest. Won't be watching this football game, but
yeah, that's my thought.
Give me the Rams.
And the last game in our 4:00 slate, Cowboys Commanders. This is a game that you know for sure that everyone is going to be playing in. CeeDee Lamb, 122 catches, 1,651 yards, receiving 10 touchdowns. He is on pace to potentially be Offensive Player of the Year, honestly. I mean, yeah, you have Tyreek about to set the receiving record as well. But Tyreek has gone more yards and less catches, so it's hard to really take away from that. But I think if CeeDee Lamb has a better week this week than Tyreek, then CeeDee Lamb is probably going to end up being a higher candidate for Offensive Player of the Year. But in terms of how big this game is, we were saying the same thing about Philly and how Dallas basically just needs to win and they're in, and they just need Philly to lose at all costs. Like, even if they lose and Philly loses, then they're in. So, and then Philly needing to win and like literally needing to win despite them losing.
Yeah.
So, with it being the Commanders and the worst defense in the league, I'm going to say Dallas does the same thing they did on Thanksgiving. They're going to win by 30, I think. It's not
I'm riding that coattail. CeeDee Lamb probably going to have a good 160 to 200 yards.
I think it would be the funniest thing in the world if they lost, but I don't think they will. So once again, give me Dallas. I feel like, though, that the Commanders are going to rack up some garbage time points. But if you're a listener of the show, you already know how I feel about garbage time points. Yeah. So it's going to make the game look deceptively close, but it won't be. Either way, I'm still going Dallas.
I want to see it. I would like to see it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd like to see it.
Oh, my God. If they lose, oh, my God, that would just be the funniest thing since... that'd be the funniest thing since the butt fumble, right hand to God.
That's the only counterpoint that you really have to take the Commanders, though, is that Dallas is on the road, and everyone knows how bad. Everyone knows how bad Dallas is on the road.
They were on the
now
road.
That I just said that, though,
you know what?
Loud,
I don't care anymore. Give me the Commanders for the memes. Give me the Commanders for the
meme. Fold it up like a T-shirt.
Tell Adam to get that meme ready.
I don't care. It's for the memes. Give me the Commanders. You know why? Because you only live once, kids.
You only live once.
You know what? I'm riding. Go W. I want to see Curtis Samuel have at least 120 yards. I want Terry to have another 100. Let's see it. See Sam Howell. Let's see it, Sam Howell.
Yeah. Scary Terry legacy game incoming.
I'm riding with you, CJ. Let's go for the W.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into the AFC East title game, the Bills and the Dolphins. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88, Dean Radio, and Secret Weapon Consulting. Chris Costich, CJ Medeiros, and Colin Garrity, our special guest. The main event of the weekend, the AFC East title game, Bills versus Dolphins. And for the Bills, for the Dolphins, they've clinched the playoff spot regardless. They're in. If they lose, they'll drop down to the 5 spot where the Bills are right now, and that'll be it. For the Bills, this rides a lot more on them. They need to win, because if other teams win and they lose, then they are completely out. They're completely out. So I'll read it off real quick. They clinched the AFC East with a win. But in order to actually clinch a playoff berth, they would need Pittsburgh to lose or tie, Jacksonville to lose or tie, or Indianapolis and Houston would both have to tie in their game. And so if Buffalo loses and all those other teams win or whatnot, the Bills are out of the playoffs. Wow. It's intense. But
It is.
Give me the Bills. Buffalo has spread by 2.5. Bills are riding on a 4-game win streak. They've also won 5 of their last 6, with that one loss being in Philadelphia, where they lost 37-34 in OT, a game that they probably should have won. I think the Bills are just riding too hot right now. Dolphins are not looking good. Dolphins are really not looking good. Let me pull up the injury report real quick if you guys want to make your pick while I'm doing that.
You know what? Give me Buffalo. Look, I know Miami's got all the flash and stuff, but they are a wee bit on the banged up side. And let's be real. I feel like we can all admit in some capacity that they are frauds. So, yeah, sorry. No, I got to go Buffalo here. I just think they have more to play for. I mean, you literally control your own destiny.
I don't know. Costich, let me hear the IR before I make my pick.
All right. Everyone that's hurt or on the injury report for the Dolphins. Bradley Chubb, obviously he's out for the year. Tyreek Hill, Xavier Howard, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle, potentially most likely not playing. Devon Achane, Teron Armstead, Jerome Baker, for some reason, I was thinking he was done for the season. Lester Cotton, Liam Eichenberg, Javon Holland, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson, David Long Jr., Duke Riley, Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey was a full participant, though. Zach Sealer, and Tua, but Tua's most likely playing. He was a full participant. But the injuries are stacking up for Miami right now. And you can say that is a big reason why they didn't win last week against Baltimore, but 56-13 is not a great excuse to start throwing around the injury bug. But regardless of what I just said, give me Buffalo. they're just riding the hot hand. You can't go against the hot hand in this case.
I think that I was torn before you gave me the IR because my girlfriend's family is a Miami Dolphins family, and I wanted to give them the pick. But I'm going to stick to my guns. I think Buffalo is going to get the win. I also think that Buffalo is going to clinch the AFC East and go on to win the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
It pains me to my bones to say it, but I think the Bills get it done this year and win their first Super Bowl.
I mean, that's what it's kind of shaping out to be, that they'll at least make it to the AFC Championship against Baltimore potentially.
It's a good story for the NFL if they meet in the AFC Championship with the Chiefs and the Bills. You got the Damar Hamlin story. You got the Chiefs again. I think the Bills get it done. I think they end up upsetting whoever gets out of the shaky NFC East. NFC
South.
Just the entire
AFC
NFC.
South.
The entire NFC. I don't know. Whoever gets out of the playoffs over there, I think is going to lose to whoever's over here.
Oh, okay, I got it. I thought you were talking about. But let me tell you something right now. I think, I mean, that's all good with the Bills, but I believe in the Cleveland Browns. That's the real story for me. Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Joe Flacco. Man is elite. Elite!
For the first time in his career, he is elite.
I would love to see a Browns Lions Super Bowl.
Browns Lions Super Bowl would be good.
Make me some money.
Oh yeah. Any last thoughts on this game before we move on?
No.
All right. We'll move on. We'll skip the break. We'll get right into our next topic. So at the end of every season, the Monday after the final games have been played is considered Black Monday. Why is it considered Black Monday? Well, it's because that's when a bunch of people get fired. Coaches, GMs, executives, and usually it's from bad teams. So we just mentioned before, Arthur Smith, his job is for some reason safe. Matt Eberflus is another guy that we were talking about before the show whose job is safe, which is understandable because this is his first year, right? So normally you aren't going to fire a first-year head coach. Art Smith, on the other hand, is crazy because we're 2 years in now, and for some reason it's the same old thing. He can't incorporate his weapons. Kyle Pitts looks like a bum for some reason, even though he's not. Drake London looks like a bum, even though he's not. Bijan Robinson is a stud and continuously gets put in the doghouse for no reason. So it's kind of a weird question mark that Art Smith wouldn't get fired at the end of the season. A couple weeks ago, there was a report that they were going to ride him out the rest of the year, but it didn't mean that they weren't going to fire him at the end of the season. But that was the last report that I had seen. CJ had seen differently, though.
Yeah, as far as coaches go, I don't believe Eberflus going to get fired. I've heard that Smith's job is secure. But if there are two coaches that I am willing to put money on getting fired, it's probably going to be Frank Reich and Ron Rivera. Especially Reich.
Ron Rivera was going to be another one that. Well, Frank Reich already got fired.
Wait, I forgot about that. Sorry. I'm sorry. I always forget that. Because, the Panthers are still terrible regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's out. Chargers fella is already out. But yeah, so I don't know at this point. I genuinely actually don't know. It's the only one, like I said, that I would put money on getting fired is Ron Rivera. I've heard the name Mike Vrabel getting thrown around, but frankly, I don't see it. And
if anything, Mike Vrabel gets traded for picks.
I don't see that happening. People usually, unless it's like a Sean Payton level coach, I usually don't see that happening. But you know what? Screw it. We're going into week 18. I say no more beating around the bush. Let's address the elephant in the room. All right. We all know who we're thinking of. Is Bill, like right here, right now, is Bill Belichick staying or going? Chris?
I feel like he's going to end up going. You just hear so much about how much Kraft and Belichick have been butting heads with each other.
Is this about what I sent in the group chat yesterday by any chance?
Yeah, I did. That was what you sent was way more than what I had seen prior to you sending that. But
yeah, it's on the Boston Herald, by the way. So
yeah, but it's just all the reports, especially the ones at the middle of the season. The one in the middle of the season was that the Bill Belichick's future was dependent on how they did against the Colts in Germany, which obviously they did very horrid against the Colts in Germany. And then there was another report that came out that said because of the Colts game in Germany, he's most likely going to be done this year. And then all these other stories now, a couple days before the game, finally come out that show how much dysfunction was actually going on in the locker room, even between Belichick and Bill O'Brien, how Belichick wasn't allowing O'Brien to bring in his own guys. And it seemed that Kraft really wanted Bill to go in a different direction, but Bill was being stubborn and didn't want to go for it. So it's hard to say that Bill won't be leaving after this season, but it's also the New England Patriots. You never really know what's true when news like that gets out of the locker
room. Before I give my answer, Colin, I'll let you say it. Because like I said, this is really we can dance around Black Monday all we want, but this is the big question. This really is. Like I said, it's the elephant in the room. And I feel like right now, even without our good friend Adam and Tuck, good friends, we got to address this. This needs to be addressed before our episode Tuesday.
Well, first, I'm glad Brandon Staley's out the door.
Yeah.
Smell him. Secondly, I couldn't imagine when I was a child hearing a question being, is Bill Belichick going to get fired when the season's over? I never in a million years would I have perceived that would be even brought up by talk show hosts or my friends, anything. I don't think that he's going to get fired. I think that he gets another season and gets one more shot at it. If it goes the same way, I think he parts ways and just does his own thing. Doesn't even get fired. Mm-hmm. What do I know, though? They're like the media, or they're like CNN. It's propaganda, man. They're just feeding it out. They're just whatever they want, they'll leak out to the news.
That could be.
That's the point that I was making, though. You don't know what's actually true coming out of the Patriots locker room.
Yeah.
Respectfully, NBA media is far worse, but that's just me. Now, as for me, I've spoken to many people about this. I've spoken to friends, I've spoken to family, other football folk. If you recall last episode, we were talking about Bill. We were talking about, what's going to happen? Should they fire him? Remember that? And I just said, I plead the fifth. I'm not getting into it. Well, here we go. Whether you are anti-Bill or whether you are pro-Bill, you cannot deny that there is a 2018 Pittsburgh Steelers level of drama happening in that locker room right now. People are butting heads, and if the reports are correct, this all stems, I think the wheels started coming off in 2017, where Bill Belichick tried to trade Tom Brady. And before the pro-Belichick mob bites my head off, I will tell you, this is an established fact.
He almost tried trading Gronk.
Yeah, I was going to get there, and he tried trading Gronk. Yeah.
He completely
and then he retired.
Yeah, because
went through. He's trade's going to go through. I'm retired.
Yep. So that's the thing. He tried trading Brady, tried trading Gronk. These are undeniable facts. We know this to be true. And this, what we also know, rubbed Kraft the wrong way, and apparently, and them benching Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl also really drove a division there. But, then they get the ring, and it's all kumbaya. But now we are in 2023. Now, one thing that I will give New England credit for is that this season they are extremely injured. Kendrick Bourne, Matt Judon, Christian Gonzalez are all on season-ending IR. You know, like I said, let's be brutally honest. The injury bug has ravaged this team. But some people would say maybe they were built a little too top-heavy, maybe this, maybe that. But a lot of people I know, myself included, don't have an issue with Bill the coach. I don't. And Chris, I'm going to wager that you, as a whole, do not have an issue with Bill the coach.
No.
The issue for most of the fan base, for most NFL people, remains to be Bill the GM. Because this man has completely neglected the offense. But I know what you're saying. Oh, but he knows how to draft linemen. It's really just receivers. I'm like, perhaps that is. But, he always makes his hay late in the round. He's always finding undrafted free agents. But the NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. This is the truth. And when you move on from Bill, you also have to realize he still holds sway. And a question we need to ask ourselves is, what assistant coaches and front office personnel will be going with him? Because dollars to donuts, there will be some that go with him. This is just the truth. And are these people integral parts to the team, or are they like Adrian Clem and Mike Pellegrino, who, by the way, are New England's offensive line and corner coaches, who are just Bill Belichick's yes men? Truthfully, I said this last episode, and I will reiterate it. I think you can flip a coin. I genuinely believe it's 50-50. And I have heard that Robert Kraft's main hope is to keep Bill as a coach, but he will relinquish the power of GM. However, I'm here to tell you he will not do that. And whether you are pro-Bill or anti-Bill, I think we can all agree. Yep, see that? Colin's got the coin. He knows. So whether you're pro-Bill or anti-Bill, I think we can all agree that whoever they bring in to be GM, Bill will not coexist with this individual. Which is why, after much consideration with all the facts laid out, I believe that Robert Kraft wants to win. And I can't say if he'll be fired, traded, or whatever, but as of now, like I said, he can flip a coin, but I am leaning towards that he will not be there in any capacity next season.
That's a great point, CJ, that if he gives up this de facto GM position, he will not give up this de facto GM position.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Without vacating the coaching position as well. Because he's going to be like, well, you don't want me to do that, then what the hell am I doing?
Exactly.
He's going to hit the road.
And everybody's like, oh, but he's had a bit of a slump, but this and that and injuries. But you got to remember, this draft, he's been in a slump in the draft from 2014 to 2019. That's inexcusable, and it did set us back. And just what's really frustrating is just the lack of offense. And I know Mac Jones has been underwhelming. We've been in cap hell before. I get that. But it's the fact that he hasn't tried to find a wide receiver one. Bourne's good. You gave a stupid contract to Aguilar. And look, and I know N'Keal Harry didn't pan out, but it just feels like not enough has been done. I mean, he threw money at Juju, but we all didn't think he was going to be a one. And to underlie how bad of an issue this is, wide receiver really emerged as an issue, right? My senior year in high school, back in 2019, 2020 thereabouts. I am now a senior in college, and it is still an issue.
We went from Colin and I had just graduated high school at that point.
Yeah, because you guys are a year above me, yeah.
And we are talking about dealing with Edelman, Mohamed Sanu, and
who you trade a second rounder for, I might add,
and a rookie Jacoby Myers, I think, and a rookie N'Keal Harry, who was injured for most of it, and no tight end. You brought back Benjamin Watson.
Ben Watson, yeah.
And
I can't even think Watson in Madden 10.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what a monster. Hold on, I just want to say though, I will preface this. I don't really put that receiver class too much on Bill because unlike the Bill of today, Bill of 2019 tried. And everybody says he didn't try, but I will say in 2019 that argument doesn't work. because he traded for Sanu. That didn't work. He drafted Harry. That didn't work. We extended Josh Gordon. That didn't work. We signed Antonio Brown. That didn't work. But he kept trying. Here, it seems like he's getting gun shy. That's not what you can do. Because he knows as well as we do narratives are forming. He may be a guy that keeps his cards close to his chest, but he knows everything that's said about them. Don't let anyone, pro or anti-Bill, tell you otherwise. But at the end of the day, like I said, I would not be shocked if he comes back. But Kraft apparently really wants him to step down as GM, but stay as a coach. But we all know Bill's not going to coexist there. And I think that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Yep. I don't know if he'll be fired. I don't know if there'll be a mutual parting of ways. And I also don't know if I've heard that there's a possibility they might actually trade him. I don't know. But
I mean, if you're going to let someone like Belichick go, and that's the other thing.
I would hope they trade him personally.
What's the player composition? Like compensation, rather.
Yeah, send him to the Chargers. Get a few firsts out of it. That would work.
Yeah. Why not?
But then again, you would have to ask how many of the coaching and front office personnel are going to go with him, because I also expect player personnel director Matt Groh, who, by the way, a report came out that he and Bill, the reason they did not draft a good offensive tackle or sign a good one was because they believed everybody in the draft free agency was, and I quote, overrated. So I feel like Groh, Clem, and Pellegrino would probably leave with Bill, but I will just leave that there. I still think it's a coin flip, but think of it like an election, right? This is like if it's like a 50-50 race. It's a pure toss-up, you know what I mean? But I am tilting like 1%. Like it would be like a 51-49% that he leaves.
Yeah. So
wait, hold on. I just want to say one more thing. I'm sorry. I just realized this. I know this segment, as you can see at the bottom, is deceptively labeled Black Monday. I don't expect him to get fired Monday. Or if they move on from, I don't expect it to happen Monday. Ron Rivera, on the other hand, Monday, he's out. He is out Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, Colin, if you were to have, besides Belichick, if you are to throw the mortgage at a coach getting fired, who's your pick?
Staley already happened, and that was really my pick for the season. But I'm going to rock with, I like that Ron Rivera pick. Although I like Ron Rivera, his team wasn't terrible. I mean, the worst defense in the league, unacceptable. I mean, yeah. I don't know what he's working with on the other side. Not the greatest, but
they need to move on. I'm sorry. I have one more piece of knowledge here. Not about Bill. If the Saints don't make the playoffs and win the division, I believe that Dennis Allen's going to get canned.
You know, I'm gonna throw a hot take out there. I think Arthur Smith still loses his job.
He should. It would be the right decision.
But I think something bad happens this week where he just completely underutilizes everybody to like an extreme extent.
Or it's going to be like some stupid game management thing that he's like completely screws up.
On the sideline, he's like,
yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though.
He looks like
a lot of people that said he was. I want to point out that a lot of people that said he was safe have since backpedaled on that a little bit. But either way, I don't know.
That's my pick. I'm going Arthur Smith still. Get him out of here.
Oh, yeah. And I will maintain, though, if the Saints don't win the division, I think Allen's fired. And the only one that I can tell you with 100% certainty is gone is Ron Rivera.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Running out of time right now. So we'll get to the Pro Bowl. Rosters just got released, and immediately everyone is looking at players that got snubbed. And two that jumped out were Brandon Ayuk and DJ Moore. So the receivers that made it over those two, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, Puka Nacua. So I'll read out all of their stats real quick. So CeeDee Lamb, 122 catches, 1,600 yards. That's reasonable. AJ Brown, 105 catches, 1,400 yards. That's reasonable. Puka Nacua, making it as a rookie, 101 catches, 1,400 yards. And now we'll go to Mike. So Mike Evans, 76 catches, 1,200 yards. So those are your 4 receivers that made it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, did I? Okay, sorry.
Brandon Ayuk should have made the Pro Bowl over Mike Evans. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, he has 72 catches, 1,300 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Ayuk does.
Yeah, and so the 3 that I would say could be considered as snubs: Monroe St. Brown, 112 catches, 1,300 yards. Ayuk, 72 catches, 1,300 yards. DJ Moore, 92 catches, 1,300 yards. I feel like of the 3 that we just mentioned, Monroe St. Brown should probably go in over, say, Mike Evans.
Fair.
And it's hard to really take Puka out when he's doing this all in his rookie year and he's about to break the rookie record.
Yeah.
He deserves a spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, sorry, continue.
No, you're good. You can go.
I was going to say, I have 2 ideas for snubs. All right.
Okay.
They're both AFC and they're both on the defensive side of the ball. Also, I'll throw one special teamer on there too in the NFC. Actually, no. Not this one's NFC defense here. Giants linebacker Bobby Okereke. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yep.
This man here, 142 tackles. He had 1.5 sacks. That's just because he's not a pass rusher. 9 passes defended, 4 forced fumbles, and 2 picks. And he did not make the Pro Bowl. Instead, they went with, your token every year Pro Bowler and Bobby Wagner because of name value alone. You can be upset with me, but this is the truth. Furthermore, in the AFC, hot take, I don't know about Quinnen Williams. 37 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. And this might be the homer in me coming out, but really, Christian Barmore doesn't get any love. 33 tackles, 1 forced fumble, but 8.5 sacks. He had 5 more sacks than Quinnen Williams, but once again, I think it's because the Patriots suck right now. You got to give Christian Barmore a little love. That's just me.
Yeah, I like it.
And there's one more. God, I hate saying this. I really, really do. But the Cowboys kicker, the Cowboys kicker, Brandon Aubrey, he made 100% of his field goals, 35 of 35, and you could say, no playoffs for him. And he went 44 of 47 on extra points, which, you kick a lot more extra points, so that's understandable, I guess, especially because Dallas scores a lot. But you made 100% of your field goals, and 93.6 will round up, call it 94% of your extra points. And nope, no Pro Bowl. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Another one that I had was Josh Allen. And yeah, he has the turnovers, but dude also has 42 touchdowns this year, rushing and passing combined.
Who are the running backs in the AFC that made it?
Looking.
I think Breece Hall was one of them. Derrick Henry,
right
I'd
No,
imagine.
I was going to say Breece Hall, I felt was a snub because I don't think he made it.
Breece Hall did not make it. It's Mostert, James Cook, and Derrick Henry. James Cook.
Oh,
James
what a
Cook.
goofy. You know what? I'm done. I don't know.
I mean, there wasn't really a lot of great
what about
running backs,
ATN?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Travis
true.
Etienne?
Also, you know what? I don't know, guys. I personally, I'm done with just the Pro Bowl in general. It's not about how good you are. It's literally about how good your team is. It's literally a popularity contest. It doesn't matter what your stats are. And do you know how I know? There was one year where Matt Stafford threw for over 5,000 yards and he had over 40 touchdowns and was not selected to the Pro Bowl. That in and of itself, even though it's just one case, is enough proof for me to say that Pro Bowl voting is ridiculous. And when you let the fans pick the teams, I don't know if that's such a great idea because let's be honest, fans don't know ball, which is ironic because I'm a fan just spouting my opinion. But good God.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny how when we started this, you guys were like, "Oh, if we run an hour and a half, our producer's gonna kill us."
Yeah,
Well,
here we
the
are
people
at
need to
100.
know. The people need to know.
The people need to know.
We did it.
But to go to the James Cook and Travis Etienne point. So James Cook has more rushing yards in 30 less carries. But the thing with James Cook is that he only has 2 touchdowns this year. Travis Etienne has 11. Now, Derrick Henry and Raheem Mostert, very understandable. Derrick Henry hitting a K, Raheem Mostert hitting 1K. Raheem Mostert has 18 touchdowns this year. Derrick Henry has 11.
Holy shit, he has 18 touchdowns? Excuse
Yeah.
my French.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's insane.
But yeah, Colin makes a great point. Travis Etienne should be in the Pro Bowl over James Cook.
Yeah, or I thought Breece Hall had a great season too. I thought that he could have been. James Cook is. I mean, his yards per carry must be incredible. I mean, I don't want to, take away from what he's done, but come on, these guys were killer all year. Travis Etienne and Breece Hall.
Yeah, James Cook is averaging.
What were Breece Hall's stats?
James Cook is averaging a full yard more on average than Travis Etienne. Breece Hall, actually, Colin, isn't having as great of a season as you might think. He only has 816 yards on the season, but he only got 186 carries and was averaging 4.4 per carry and 4 touchdowns.
That's wild.
It is.
Never mind. I retract the Hall statement. I stick to my ATN statement.
All right. Well, we'll end the show on that. Any last thoughts from you two before we sign off?
Pleasure being here.
No.
Thanks for having me.
So that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. New episode coming out on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Episodes on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. and Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, and so much more. And be sure to follow our Instagram, Fumblerooski Podcast, to keep up with the pod. And also be sure to follow the TikTok, Fumblerooski Pod, and all the latest coverage on the NFL. Colin, it's a pleasure to have you on. Should definitely get you on the pod again. We'll
Everyone,
definitely
go watch our podcast we just did. Me and Costich. It was fantastic.
New Polluted Thoughts podcast out right now with me as the guest, me, Chris Costich, as the guest. That's out right now on all platforms that I just laid out for us. But with that, from Chris Costich, CJ Medeiros, and our special guest, Colin Garrity, we will see you next week. Over and out.